Hey everybody, this is Robby at again, and today this is going to be a little bit of a different video once again, just like last week. We're going to talk about the subject of flashlights and night vision and how they work in combination in Airsoft. Now, I've seen a lot of videos online about them separately, such as, flashlight videos or night vision videos by themselves, but I couldn't really find one that has both of them in the same video and explains the advantages and disadvantages of owning either of the two devices. So we're going to start off with some flashlights. I have some various flashlights from different manufacturers, two different manufacturers actually, that have different lumen counts, and I'm going to explain what that means in a minute as well. So first up, this is the Inforce WML. This is one of the cooler flashlights. It's very innovative. You actually don't need any mounting hardware to mount it. It has a spring-loaded clip on the side of it. You just slap it onto your rail. It stays on. When you want to take it off, pull the spring-loaded clip back and pop it right off, and it's really easy to do. It also has a pressure switch guard on the back of it, so that way you don't bump your flashlight whenever you don't want to, which is very important, especially in the real steel aspect. If you're using it for home defense, it's also very handy for Airsoft as well if you're trying to be sneaky. The way the pressure switch works, it has three different outputs. It has low, high, and then strobe. It always defaults to high, so if you just hold it in for more than a second or two, it stays on high. You can click it for high, and then you can switch through your settings. So if you click it, it's automatically on high. Click it again, it's on the low setting within a few seconds. Then click it again and it's off. Now to get strobe, just double tap it, then you get your strobe function, which is pretty neat. Not a lot of flashlights are that user friendly. A lot of flashlights that I have used other than Inforce, it's kind of a pain in the butt to get through the strobe and get back on to high. So it's really nice that this defaults to the high setting, which is where you're going to have it most of the time anyway. Hey, real quick on the lumens. So this is a 200 lumen weapon light. You can have some super high lumen lights that aren't of nice quality, and a lower lumen light from a nice company will be able to outperform them because of the beam quality. The beam quality is really what you're looking for here. A lot of these flashlights that I have before me, they have a very, very tight beam with some splash to fill a room or flood a room, and that's really, in my opinion, the best thing you can do for home defense and Airsoft, because you get that nice tight beam to put where you want, and then it also has some flood around it. That way it lights up the entire room and you can see everything without moving your light around. With a lot of the lower quality lights, you'll get a lot of spill and not that tight beam, or you'll just get that tight beam and not a lot of spill. So a lot of these lights are built to be very versatile in that sense. Okay, next up, this is the Surefire G2X Tactical. This is a single output LED light as opposed to the Inforce, which is a three output. It has a single button tail cap on it, very, very simple. The glory of this light is the simplicity of it. There's no features to go through, no different settings to run through. It's just that tail cap, and if you screw the cap in all the way, then you get your constant light on. This is a 320 lumen light, so it's a little brighter than the Inforce, which will aid you depending on what your application is. Okay, next up, this is the big guy. This is the Surefire P3X Fury Tactical, and the cool thing about this is that it's 1,000 lumens, and that's a lot of light to be thrown around. The range on this guy, you're gonna be able to reach out a lot farther. It's more of a spotlight style light. I wouldn't consider this, I guess it is a tactical light, but this could definitely be used as a spotlight as opposed to the other two, which don't have as far of a range as this guy does, because it's so immensely bright. And you can still see that tight inner beam, so it's the same story with the other two. You have the tight inner beam and the splash around it so that it can fill the room and you can see all your targets without strafing the room with your flashlight. And that's one of the brighter flashlights on the market. 1,000 lumens is considered to be very, very bright in the flashlight world. Okay, another thing I wanted to talk about is runtime on flashlights. Now, the reason I chose these lights in particular is because the Inforce WML uses one CR123A battery, the Surefire G2X uses two CR123A batteries, and the Surefire P3X Fury uses three CR123 batteries, and we'll see how those all compare runtime-wise. The Inforce is very efficient for how small it is, and the fact that it only uses one battery, it actually has, according to Inforce's website, it's a 1.5 to 2 hour runtime on the high setting, which is pretty impressive out of such a small little light. The Surefire G2X, this guy has a little bit higher of a runtime. This one in particular is 2.25 hours according to Surefire's website. So that's just something to keep in mind. And then the same thing with the Fury. It uses three CR123A batteries, which gives it the same runtime as the G2X on the high setting. And that gives you a 2.25 hour runtime. And those might vary from different battery brands. These were all tested with the manufacturer specific batteries that they use. So going to lower quality CR123s or even, higher quality CR123s, you'll get different runtimes depending on the batteries as well. Okay, so now on to the next part of the video, which is going to be about night vision. And this is where I'm sort of going to loop everything together while I'm talking about this. This is my helmet. If you saw it in my loadout video, nothing's really changed. I still have my Gen 3 PVS 14 on the front. I'm going to go ahead and take this off here. So like I said, there aren't a whole lot of videos out there that show night vision and flashlights in the same video. So I'm going to go over advantages and disadvantages of all of these combined into one on the Airsoft field. So the big disadvantage you're going to have with night vision is that it does hinder mobility and also field of view. So, you know, obviously you have this essentially a scope on the front of your helmet. Your head movement isn't going to be as fast because of your limited field of view. You're going to have to turn your head a lot more. You don't have your peripherals anymore, and that'll change if you get dual tube night vision, such as PVS and PVS 15s or Sentinels or Anvis 9s. But even then, you don't have your full field of view, so you're going to be turning your head a lot more, and that's, you know, that can be a problem if you're in a big room, and it does get it is a bit of a hindrance as far as airsoft is concerned. The other problem you're going to have is that if you don't have Generation 3 night vision or anything auto-gated, if someone hits you with a really bright flashlight, it can really do some serious damage to the tube. Now, what auto-gating is, and that's what 90% of modern day night vision scopes that are Gen 3 have, it actually changes depending on the light situation. So if someone hits you with a flashlight, the tube does some math, dims itself down, and you still have your field of vision. But for that split second or so, you are flooded with white light, but it's almost not noticeable with the better auto-gating systems that we have today. Now, from the perspective of a flashlight, if you have a flashlight and you illuminate someone with night vision, they may be able to see you, but now you can see them. You don't have this honking tube on the front of your helmet. So at that point, it levels the playing field. The second you see anybody with night vision, it's game over, and it goes back to a normal game of airsoft. Night vision's really great if you're sneaking around and you're working really great with your team, but the second people use bright flashlights against you and you see each other, it's time to flip that thing up and go back to a secondary light source. That's when you're really going to have a better chance. Now, while we're on the topic of night vision, I will talk about it a little bit. So with night vision, they pick up beam waves of light called infrared light that you can't see with your normal eye. If you actually take your cell phone camera and hit it with some infrared light, your camera, because of the light sources that it picks up, will be able to see the light pretty well. But night vision equipment picks up infrared light extremely well, which is why a lot of people use PEC 15 or D-ball or any sort of other weapon-mounted laser systems to help them aim the rifle. Because when you're focused far out, your gun's kind of like a giant blob, so you need something to help you assist in aim. Now, personally, like I was talking about before, whenever someone hits you with light or whenever the flashlights start kicking in, it's time to flip out that night vision and go back to a secondary light source, which is on my gun. I use a Surefire Scout with the dual output head, so if that happens, I can just switch over my head types back to LED, and I'm back to playing a normal night game without night vision. That comes in handy quite a lot, in my opinion. Okay, so that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. I wanted to make this video as brief as I possibly could. I know I rambled a little bit, but hopefully you guys took something from this video and enjoyed it. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to comment or message us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/ampedairsoft. Also check out our channel by following the link below. All right, that's it, guys. Have a good night.